Howdy, neighborly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this another day of me waving my arms in the air like I just don't care. And oh boy, there is so much pain going on in both. Just reaching over like this. I do things without thinking because I've done these things my whole life. Reach for things. But ow, reaching over this far. Ow, and ow, ow, oh boy. Fan on in the window, and there's not doors and stuff open outside, what am I even saying? Out in the hall. I do not have my bedroom open. Normally I'd have my bedroom door open and a fan blowing the cooler air out, and then have like windows and stuff open downstairs, but I haven't done all that yet, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to end up doing. But we're supposed to, on today, the 1st of September, when, even living here, the first couple years of my life here with my wife, the 1st of September, it got cold. Now, it is going to hit the mid-80s. On September 1st. It might cool down and become autumn by late October, early November, early December. Anyway, though, survival is fun, and I am surviving, so yay, though I'm not doing well on the pain scale. But yesterday, I had mentioned how I have to talk out my fears, but while I'm talking out my fears, I'm still doing stuff. So I was talking about how awful and terrible the tiny place is, blah, 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 and there is some stuff that could be a real deal killer. Like, if there's no internet connection that goes out to the little tiny house where I live, why would I ever stay there? So I talked about that. But even while I was saying, this stuff, it's that's just talking out my fears because I was doing everything else in the background. Yesterday, I walked out there and handed in some paperwork. Did some other paperwork that she hadn't given to me, and then I came back home. Now, the full details are what the real story is. I left here at 10 o'clock. In the rain, with my umbrella, but in the rain. Got to the library, made copies of all the things that I needed to make copies of. Continued walking all the way up into northern Shelton, where it's a plateau, so I don't have to change altitude like you do going from downtown Shelton to northern Shelton. And so walked from there up to DSHS, Department of Social and Health Services, and was able to get a certificate of income which showed everything. So I tucked all that stuff into my little plastic folder that I had that I put inside another plastic bag because it was raining, and by this time my feet were soaked. They have lunch from 12 to 1. I left it around 10:30ish. I got there at lunchtime. Luckily, the person that I needed to talk to had arrived late that morning and was making up for it by not having lunch. So I handed in my paperwork, and I need to do a UA. So my bladder was fully ready to provide for the urinalysis. And she explained why we're not going to do that. They're changing things. They used to do the testing there at the facility. Now they don't. There's a different place they have to go to. So doing it right now wouldn't work because they can't test it, and they're still working out the details for the new place. So as I was filling out paperwork and she had to make a visit to one of the restrooms, I decided, hey, they don't need a urine sample. I'm going to go take care of business. So I took care of business, and when I came out, she was talking to one of the other people who said, well, while he's here, why don't we get a urinalysis? Of course. So I got to go back there today to provide the urinalysis. There's another piece of paperwork that they need for from here. We had taped to our door a notice of, you need to sign our lease or you're not going to be able to live here because we're not going to do month to month, and your rent is going up from $1,300 a month to $1,400 a month. I can't afford $1,300 a month, even not paying the utilities. I've been slowly dying because I can only afford a tiny little scrap at the beginning of the month, and then I'm out. I definitely can't afford $1,400. So I got to make copies of that, because I got to sign it saying I'm not going to do it and take it over to the rental company, and I got to get the copies of it. Well, I can either hold it up to my webcam on my laptop and make a copy of it and then send the JPEG or PNG or whatever off to the person, but I got to walk up there anyway for a UA. Why not just make a photocopy on the way? I mean, sure, it cuts out one step. Hey, you don't have to stop at the library, but the library is just on the other side of the street from where I walk up to go into Northern Shelton. The main road that goes up from downtown to Northern Shelton, there's the library. So why not stop in there? So thumbs up for that. So yeah, it was another comedy of errors. But again, even though I'm talking all this negative stuff because I'm talking out my fears, I've only got 2 more things. One of them a UA and one of them just dropping off paperwork, and I'm done. So here's hoping on the UA. So there's other things happening. Oh yes, what hell? The other part of the story. That was all the stuff that happened there. I left at around, like I say, 10:30ish. I can't remember exactly when, but it was after 10. It was before 10:30. I was out. I got back here at 2:15. I had walked 7 miles. I was exhausted. Again, physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted. I fell asleep in my chair for I don't know how long. And when I woke up, I could not do anything. I even tried watching videos and found myself sitting in silence for long periods of time before I realized that it was silence. So I didn't get much at all done until the later part of the day, when the video that's going live today, live, public, whatever the word is, it's a Halls of Torment video that I recorded and edited, set my computer just to render it overnight, and when I woke up here, uploaded it, and then later on I'm just gonna set the status to public, and there we go. I like the editing, that the very minimal editing I do. I mean, I know I don't do much editing. I do the whole long play stuff. Long play type stuff isn't popular, but I don't know how to edit my own stuff. I can edit other people's stuff if I needed to punch it up, but I don't know myself. I don't know what my stuff sounds funny to others, and that's the kind of stuff I want to keep, as well as the major things happening in gaming. So, but in the end, we're all going to die. None of this matters. The world will be burned into a sterile ball by our sun. All the stars are eventually going to go out. Most of them have. The rest of the universe outside of our small visible bubble is cold and dark. There were first generation stars that happened immediately after inflation. When they blew up and sent out all this junk along with the remaining gases and dust, second generation stars were formed. Our star is a second generation star. There are no third generation stars. There's not enough stuff out there to make third generation stars. First generation stars have gone out. Second generation stars are going out. There is no such thing as a third generation star. The universe beyond our visible bubble is dead, cold, and dark. There's nothing out there. Yay! And that's the fate of our universe. That's what's going to continue to happen. Inflation driving everything further apart. The only thing that's saving us is the fact that the gravity fights the whole inflation thing. So our local cluster of galaxies are staying together, and we are inflating from the other groups as a cluster. So at least there'll be some stars for life for a while. Yay. Anyway, though, let me take a look on here to see what else is there. Oh, yes, on size. I was just taking a look at what I have. There is so little room in the tiny rooms. But I did talk to the person, and she was saying, with my disabilities that I do have, and the fact that I'm going to be having surgery on my neck and my spine, that she is voluntarily going to put me into the ADA one, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act place, where it's bigger, where if you need a chair, because I don't know what's going to happen, and in recovery I may need my walker all the time, I may need a wheelchair, I may need some other form, we don't know, and it's better to have me there than needing to wait for it to open up. And rooms like that, once they're filled, don't open up often. So she's putting me, if I get in, into one of the ADA larger rooms. But even with that, they're not much bigger. I've got room for maybe one of these bookcases that'll be off to the side. And I definitely am going to be keeping my solo RPG stuff. Most of my other stuff, I got to keep one console out anyway, and I've got my 2 monitors I got to keep out. I got to have room, so I'm not going to have room. Yay. But, better than being homeless. And even if I can't run a line out to where I live, they have Wi-Fi extenders, so it'll suck, but it'll be better than nothing. So we shall see. I have to pass the UA. I have to pass the background check. To my knowledge, I haven't ever done anything that would disallow me, whatever the word is, for disqualify me from being in a housing situation. I don't know what the heck they'd find. So I gotta pass that. Yay. I passed every other one in the past. So, and then the UA, and drop off this paperwork when I do that, and I'm done. So yay. What else do I have? Because once again, I veered off into weirdness. Oh yes, real quick on here as well, checking my time. We're gonna head, mid-80s, but I woke up this morning. I've only recently stopped wheezing. It is 7:59. I've been up since 6:15-ish, and I only stopped wheezing like 20 minutes ago. And I've been recording for 13, so it's been rough. There's been no air quality warning, so just one of those days. One of the things that does happen, of course, is on my variable positive air pressure machine, my VPAP, which is like a CPAP, but a CPAP is constant positive air pressure. Mine will push depending on how well I'm breathing. The less I breathe, the more it pumps in. But that's filtered air. There's a filter on it. And when you go from filtered air from sleeping to non-filtered air with all the junk in it, especially since I have a pet, and I don't dust, stuff like that, immediately there's so it's been a fun day. But this is the big one. I was watching this. I try to watch some political things. I can't. I can only last for watching a thing about Donald Trump. I can only listen to him for 10 seconds before I have to click away. Others on the right, like Ben Shapiro or Ben Shabibo, and Charlie Kirk and all that, I can only listen to them live for about 15 seconds before I have to turn them off. Because they start lying the minute they open their mouths. And I just can't take that. So I'm glad that there are people out there that do like it and can handle it. Like Vosh and Hassan and all that. I couldn't. But getting it filtered through other people, that's different. I watch they used to be with the group that I was a part of when I was a part of a network, and then when the network broke out, they went off on their own. It's Elliot and somebody else. They went on, one guy's short, one guy's tall, and they talk about various things, and they do like a 40-minute show. One of the things they were talking about was, we have a senator, congressman, I can't remember what, Ted Cruz. Nobody likes him. They don't like him where he works, whichever branch it is, I can't remember. All I remember is they don't like him. Even his constituents don't like him. Nobody likes him. But he's really good for trying to kick off culture war stuff. And that's all the GOP has. When was the last time you heard the GOP, if you're an American, talk about policy? They don't have any talking points about policy because they don't talk about policy anymore. They are now the party of grievance and snowflaking and whining. That's all they do. Ted Cruz is now, I saw the video where they were talking about it. They played the ad. He's talking about how the left, the Democrats, want to take your beer away. They want to make it so you can only drink beer twice a week. And so he popped a beer and drank it on the camera in his ad with a bunch of good old boys. Old, straight, white Christian men. No women, no anybody else that's not straight white. They drank their beers. What was this all about? Turns out that in Canada, a health organization did a study on the effects of drinking beer. And their conclusion was drinking alcohol is bad. Well, it was drinking alcohol, not just beer, but drinking alcohol is bad. And if you are concerned about your health, you should limit your consumption to 2 drinks per week. And that is what the GOP has grabbed onto as the left is coming to take your beer. Because they can't talk about policy. They don't do policy. All they can do is culture war, because otherwise they would be asked questions about policy that they can't answer, because that's not what they do. They just oppose policy and start culture wars. And I wish I was lying. Checking my time, what else do I have over on my list here? Just real quick, with Mitch McConnell possibly having seizures and stuff again here, United States policy stuff, he's the Senate Minority Leader. He's in his 80s, a lot like a lot of the Senate people who are... Over half the people in the legislation branch of the United States is over 65. And a lot of them are nearing 100. And it's ridiculous, but he has been freezing in public. It's possible he's having seizures, possibly he's having transient ischemic attacks, these tiny stroke things where you're gone for a while. But nobody really knows, but the fact of that is, let me look back on here. If it is seizures, just really quick I wanted to mention, correlation is not always causation. You can't just say, because this happened, this other thing happened. Because my mother, about my age-ish, bonked her head on the hatchback part of a door. And after that, she started having seizures. She's always thought that the bonk on the head was the cause of the seizures happening. But correlation is not causation. Just because they happen at the same time isn't always true. Like even with this happened when I did something else. But no, it's because of this. Correlation is not always causation. So that's another thing to worry about, seizures. Yay, heredity. I don't think that's going to happen, and I watch flashing stuff on purpose, so yay, I like strobe lights. Anyway, though, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These are beautiful and awesome people. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely awesome. They help to keep me and my aging pet from being hosed like Christmas monkeys. Oy vey. Thank you, each and every one of you. It is appreciated. And thank you, each and every one of you that has in the past donated to my PayPal or has currently donated to my GoFundMe. Thank you so very, very much. It is intensely appreciated. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. It's never much anymore, but it's more than zero, and that's very cool. If I mispronounce a username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I count American Sign Language, well, I'm not really doing anything but stimming, and that's really hard to do this morning. Oh boy, the whole arm involvement is stopping me from moving quick today. Ay. This is great. I have to move, and this is bad today too, on gabapentin and on canvas. But it's just me stimming, so it comes up. So let me call up my Chrome and get the spotlight out of my face first. And here we are. We have Nexor EH. Always good to see you in the comments. If all these things weren't happening at the same time, with my still having fears of whether or not, I am disabled under their rules with the whole SSI paperwork thing. I've got that. I got housing. I got this. I got a whole bunch of other things. I would certainly love to email you more and talk to you more. I'm very sorry. But thank you so much for leaving a comment. It is appreciated. Jesse Koskinen, did I already thank you? No, in fact, I'm only in at number 2, Jesse Koskinen. My brain. We have Send Code, thumbs up and thank you. I bet I'm pronounce that absolutely, especially since it's Sand Code. And Floramu, greatly appreciated. And if that was the home, or My House. If you haven't watched anything about My House, watch that. That's intense. And if that was what you were talking about, that was intense, wasn't it? You've talked about other things, and I want to talk about those too, but right now I can't. So, 77 Arcturus, greatly appreciated. Good to see you in the comments. And normally I play games to de-stress and all that, especially with my ADHD, but with everything happening, I haven't even been able to do that. I hate it. There is Joker, greatly appreciated, and the Slasher Files. RJ, well, thumbs up, thank you. There is RJ Mitchell, greatly appreciated. Zelos with an X, thumbs up, thank you very, very much. And that is it. Greatly appreciated each and every person that left me a comment. You get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people. And that is great. I have to crack these knuckles so often to make them stop hurting. Is that arthritis? I mean, that doesn't seem right. That if you got arthritis, you crack your knuckles to make it stop hurting, when it's a lack of cartilage. Bone rubbing on bone is arthritis. I don't know why they stick, and then cracking them makes them not hurt anymore. I have no idea. I mean, it still hurts, but less than when it was sticking. I can't remember what I was talking about, so you get me out of my head. I think I'm there. Into the world and dealing with real people. Thumbs up and thank you. So, I have my med manager appointment at 11:30. After that, I gotta walk up to the library, and then up to the tiny house place, give them the paperwork, do the urinalysis. Well, give them the sample, they'll do the urinalysis, and then I'll come back home. Another 7-mile walk during the daytime, when I normally do this at night when there's no one around. That's undoubtedly one of the more exhausting parts of it, is being out with people. That is so stressful for me with all of my anxieties. Yay. Hopefully, though, you can get done what you need to get done. That would be a very, very good thing. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very, very good thing. God, life. Life is so wonderful. It can be. It depends on your situation. I recently talked with somebody who is lucky to be alive after taking 7 gunshots wounds. So, yeah, everybody can have it worse. So, you take care. I'll talk to you later, and that is a good thing.